one new gold stock making big headlines since its start last April, acquiring gold for $5 to $10 per ounce in the ground, which is dramatically lower than the $50 to $100 per ounce in the ground other companies have been paying. To learn more about what hard asset investors are calling a mineral bank, visit futuremoneytrends.com/investright.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in. Once again, we're with Polny of Gold 2020 Forecast. He was one of the guys who actually came out and said that the Shemitah, at least the Shemitah that everyone was talking about in 2015, would be a non-event. And we did see that become a non-event. But in his analysis, he has another date for the Shemitah, and that's into 2016. So let's get his thoughts on the Shemitah. First of all, Bo, thanks for joining me.
Kenneth, thank you again for calling, and I appreciate being here. Thank you.
Bo, let's talk about the Shemitah. You already said last year in recorded interviews that the Shemitah would be a non-event, at least the 2015 Shemitah. Why was the Shemitah a non-event in 2015?
Shemitahs typically, and not typically, they're 7-year cycles, okay? However, in September, and it's on Elul 29, okay? So in September of Elul 29, that would have been September 14th, that was a 7-year cycle completion. However, it was completing into a year of Jubilee. So the Shemitah would actually be on the 8th year, not on the 7th. And so our cycles, when we were looking at the cycles, the daily cycles, completely confirmed it. So we basically said there's going to be no stock crash because we didn't see it. There was nothing on our charts that were pointing to that. And then the cycles itself fulfilled itself in September with no crash. In fact, we were looking for an upcycle all the way into October, and that's when we did our interview, if you remember that, on the 14th of October, Ken. And that should have been a turn point. Instead, remember, we talked about the two-week adjustment, so then that put it into November 1st. But that was it. So the upcycle was from August into November. So the Shemitah landed in the middle of that. And so we had an upcycle. So how could the Shemitah crash if it fits in an upcycle? And so now we're in a down cycle from November 1st or November 2nd, and the world markets are in a down cycle. The Shemitah itself, so you have to add from September 21st, 2015, a Jubilee year, which is basically you start at the 49th year, you add 360 days, and then you additionally add 2 cycles of 7, which would be another 14 days, taking the Shemitah date, putting it on to Elul 29, or October 2nd of 2016. So on that date, which is a Sunday, and then the next day is Rosh Hashanah, which is New Year. So again, something I did in my video that I spoke about, we're expecting 2 events next year, in the year of 2016. Number one, actually we're expecting 3 events, and we're going to include gold, but we're three events. Number one is first a very large stock crash, which completes the cycle that we spoke of earlier, which is the 252-year cycle, which puts it at a terrible low in the year 2016. We're secondly looking for an event somewhere or pretty much on the Shemitah itself. That will be October 2nd of next year, 2016. And then prior to all of this, okay, I believe everything is preceded with a massive gold and silver move.
Well, Bo, I'll definitely be looking October 2nd, 2016, and in fact, we'll be sure to schedule another interview at that time. But that's actually quite a few months away at this point. But let's get into gold. First of all, why is gold money? You've done some research and you've laid it out in your video why historically gold is money. Let's just get your thoughts on that.
Well, again, thank you for mentioning the video. But basically, yes, I try to make it's 20-minute video, and I try to explain it very simply because it's simple to understand. But when you lay it out, you get the key of it. But 5,000 years ago, it was money. 2,000 years ago, it was money. And today, the question is it money? And the world's trying to get you to believe, is it, they want you to question it. But for 5,000 years, it has been money. But all that's happened, and this goes back to the cycle work that I did, you go back 251 years, basically 252 years to the Currency Act of 1764, and all that was created was an alternative to money, and it was called currency. Okay, so once you had an alternative to money, in time people began to view the alternative as money. But it's nothing more than an alternative to money, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally does, and you're totally right. There's a major fight against allowing precious metals to be valued at their true prices, and we've done interviews on this channel with multiple guests who've talked about the manipulation, talked about the London gold pool, talked about what's going on in the COMEX, and we know that the central banks are controlling gold because they don't want the people to give it any validation that it is historically money, it is money. And if we do see gold and silver rise, it will discredit the fiat currencies that are around at the moment. And so what are your thoughts on gold going forward?
Well, like I said, gold is money, and all the currencies, for them to be considered money or viewed as money, they have to be backed by faith and confidence. Gold, because it is money, it requires no faith and no confidence to be money. Okay?
That's a good point.
So, and that's very important to understand. Now, if you take the concept of manipulation, with quotes on either side of it, I don't care that it's been manipulated for 1 year or 5 years. History has proven over and over and over again, you can't beat Mother Nature, if you want to call it. You can't beat God. You can't beat the cycles. It will always win. But because there's been 5 years of manipulation of price controls, all they've done is suppress the price within a grand, we have to step back at this, within a large bull market. Okay? So when you suppress the price in a grand scheme of a bull market, all you get is a massive price explosion to readjust itself. So there's going to be a price explosion, a price reset, but I mentioned in the video, expect a price explosion or a price reset, or a massive price spike. But there's going to be something happening very shortly that is going to basically put gold back to where it needs to be. Okay, so and that's a new all-time highs. Okay, it has to get. If you just run a median price projection on gold, it's over 2,000 right now. Okay, that's going back to the year 2000. Just draw a line right to the middle of it. Okay. The prices have been nothing but suppressed, and I know everybody's been saying it. Yes, it should be higher, but the cycles are saying that the manipulators are out of time, and the cycle is about to take over, and big change is about to happen. And again, as I mentioned in the video, the year of Jubilee. It's a jubilee for those who hold precious metals, gold and silver. And so we are going to see amazing price movements for gold and for silver very soon.
Bo, what did you mean right there by a year of jubilee for people who hold gold and silver?
Biblically, when you go, the year of Jubilee is a 50th year. Okay, so we've only gotten 49 years so far, and as of September 28th, 2015, the year of Jubilee began, which ends on Elul 29, which ends on the Shemitah of 2016. So now the world is in a year of Jubilee. Okay, and in the year of Jubilee, you were going to have all these things that I mentioned. Where you're going to see a price explosion on gold and silver. You're going to see a massive stock crash, a world stock crash. You're going to see an event, something happen possibly on on October 2nd, 3rd of 2016. But that's the year of Jubilee. So it's the 50th year of a 50-year cycle. So in other words, we are now in the year of Jubilee.
Okay, so, and I was just wondering, did you have a specific reason for why it's for gold and silver? Because you said it for people who have gold and silver.
Because the year of Jubilee is when it's a year of market cleansing.
Yeah, market forgiveness and all those things.
Right? So if the markets are going to be cleansed, then gold and silver will find its true value. So it'll be the exact opposite of what we perceive. You know, right now you perceive everything to be X, but then next year it's going to be Y. It becomes different. So the manipulation that's been controlling the markets, I know it's hard to understand or believe, but bottom line is the manipulation's been going against nature. Okay, it's been going against the clock, and now the clock's pretty much at an end. There's just, once December comes to a head here, once December finishes, I just can't. Last interview we did, we said, we have a major cycle low potentially at on the December 2nd, which was a day of our interview. I said last night that should have been a cycle low on gold at 10. Was at 10.45 at 10.45, $1,045, and if December now completes and it doesn't go lower, there's an extremely high probability of massive price moves coming in the very, very near future here, and they need to be explosive because gold needs to get back to where it needs to be, and it's like you ask yourself a question: if gold moved $100 or $200, how would you stop it? How could they stop it?
Well, there you have it, everyone. A lot to think about, and we'll be watching the markets. We'll be watching precious metals. We'll be watching stocks. That's Bo Polny of Gold2020Forecast.com. Bo Polny, thanks for joining me.
Kenneth, thank you for calling, and God bless.